Welcome to the next episode of Tech on Toast, our new podcast. With us today, we have the founders of Bond Connect. So there's two of them today, so I'm going to try and manage this properly. So we'll start off, ladies first, Eva Fayemi. So Eva, what do you do at Bond Connect?
Thank you so much for the quick introduction. So at Bond Connect, I'm the co-founder, but mainly I take care of the marketing, also of sales and all kind of growth activities that can help us build our brand.
Very good.
Thanks for inviting us, by the way.
No problem. Welcome. I should have said that. And Ruben Westmeijer, you are in the other corner of my screen here. What do you do at Bond Connect? Say hello.
Hey, hello guys. Thanks for having us, Chris. Yeah, so I'm also co-founder of Bond Connect, and I'm actually taking more like the background, so administration, strategy, but also like basically we're a very small company, so everybody does everything.
Yeah, everybody does everything.
Anyway, we do have a bit of our roles.
Yeah. And today I have a bit of geography envy because I'm sitting in Wales in the rain. Where are you guys today?
Yeah, today we are in Lisbon, but it has not been like that all the time. We were in London before, and we left London for Lisbon, a more sunny destination.
Yeah. I don't blame you as well. And we're going to try and get a brunch in Lisbon, right? Part of Tech on Toast is we try and do brunches all over the UK. So our first one is definitely going to be in Lisbon when we go into Europe. So I've already got you committed.
Yeah. It's a great hub for tech, so I'm sure you
will. Good. We're good. Yeah. We're coming. Hopefully before. No. It'll be next year. I won't get too excited. So we'll start at the start. So technology, we're obsessed with it, the three of us. I know Bond Connect is built on that. Do you want to talk us a bit more through, before we get into the question set I've got for you guys, do you want to talk a bit more through Bond Connect and what it actually does and who joins? I'm a member there, but can you tell us a bit more about it?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So Bond Connect is basically a community. We're coming, both Eva and me are coming from hospitality tech, obviously, and we were working a lot with consultants and different partners. And what we noticed is that sometimes it can be a bit of a challenge to find the right person in the right partnership. And that's what we're trying to solve. So we're trying to basically put everybody together who has an interest in hospitality tech. You can be a hospitality tech provider, a consultant, revenue manager, anything that has relation to hospitality. And there you can create your profile and be in touch with anyone you like from a community.
Like, we're trying to facilitate links between people and between technology and partners such as consultants or hotel management companies and so on, because there was not really a place to do that before. And we know that we can secure a more approachable environment with Bond Connect, and people can talk to each other directly. They can exchange best practices, but also make business and make their business grow.
Yeah, and I think that's the point, right? I think finding an environment where everyone can kind of work together. And I think with technology, especially in our industry, there's a bit of smoke and mirrors. People are a little bit afraid of it because it can be quite salesy. You have people coming in selling you all kinds of things. So I think there is space there to have someone in, like the middleman or middle lady, where you can connect these people together. And I'm a member of Bond Connect, and I've had a warm welcome in the Slack channel there, so I know it works. So that's great. And how long have you guys been going for?
Yeah, not so long ago. So, Ruben and I started, we have another company called Bond Partnerships, and it's still there. This is our consulting business where we actually advise on partnerships and how to create partnership programs and all of that. And we started that last year, August, something like that, Ruben?
Yeah.
Bond Connect is our brand new baby. We started in April this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, right? There's a lot of new businesses popping up through lockdown and out the back of it. And you've had a great start, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so.
definitely. Yeah, we started in April, and I think in 2 months' time we had over 500 users.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, it's good to know, right? It's validation, isn't it? I always say that when you start something new, you kind of, in our world, it was an event, and the first person who bought a ticket, it's like validation saying, yes, I like what you're doing, I agree with it. So 500 people are telling you that, which is awesome. So let's get into it. So, technology is literally at the front of everything that's changing. So innovation at the moment is pretty much driven by that everywhere. How interested have you guys individually been in tech, I suppose, in your career before you got to this point? So we'll start with Eva.
I ended up in tech really randomly. Obviously I always liked technology and digital. I was born in the late 90s, so I was really quickly into that, but hospitality tech and all the operational side of it, it was when I started working in hotels. But it was still not the main part of my job when I was working in a hotel. Obviously, it was more like the guests and making sure that everybody was happy and was having a good time and experience away from home, all of that. And I basically met the founder of Muse while I was working in a hotel, and he dragged me into this. He dragged me into hospitality tech, and back then I was working with this software called Hot, and I didn't know. I knew maybe 1/3 of that tool, right? Because it was so complicated and all of that. And then when I discovered other systems which were much more easy to handle and that would automate much more things for me, then I was like, oh wow, it's a brand new world out there that I actually didn't know.
And I think that's really interesting, because you were a hospitality worker, and your knowledge of tech is you're basically, as you say, your focus is the guest, right? So tech needs to be seamless, needs to be in the background, needs to be something that can just fit into your daily routine. And I do think there's a massive gap in understanding from the frontline worker to what these guys can actually do. And we always talk about landing tech correctly, and the fact that you can buy it, install it, but really the reality is you're probably not going to get return for a couple of years unless you really work hard on landing it properly. So I find it that's great that you've got that experience from front to back and understanding what it's like.
Definitely.
What about you, Ruben? I was talking to my kids this morning. They were telling me they don't remember a time before mobile phones. Eva's probably the same. I was saying when they grow up, their kids probably won't remember a time with cash. Things are changing that quickly. How about your love of tech? Where did that come from?
Yeah, so I've been always interested in tech. I was, I think it was 2015, 2016. I was working for basically an incoming tour operator in Amsterdam, and we were acquiring some other companies. So my, my job was basically to merge 2 or 3 different reservation departments coming from different companies, and obviously they were all working with different systems. And we always used to go to the ITB in Berlin in March. And normally I would go there for, to have conversations with our suppliers and our clients and stuff like that. But this time I was on a mission to find the new reservation software, which we could introduce to merge everything. And man, like a magical world opened up. I went to all these different stands, and I was like so obsessed with all the possibilities. And I was like, this is so great. And it was very hard to choose one, obviously. But I chose one, and they came to Amsterdam. They did the implementation, and I saw like how big the difference was of working before and now having consolidated everything into one system. This was the first time I started hearing about API connections and stuff like that, and I was just so obsessed with it. And from that moment on, I was like, okay, I'm working now in this incoming tour operator where I'm working with this technology, but I want to do these kind of projects all the time. I want to just be part of this revolution and see how quick and how better companies can start working actually using technology. So that's basically, I went to Sardinia for a holiday. I came back and I was like, okay, I'm going to quit my job with Christmas.
That's what Sardinia will do to you. Yeah.
Yeah, really. It was really a calling, and and then I applied for Muse, and then it all started.
Wow. I mean, I think it's really interesting, isn't it? How tech can, especially consolidation, where we work a little bit with DeliverAct, who are based over in Belgium, and they basically condense all the delivery channels into one tablet, so they can, operators basically don't have 15 tablets on the walls. They have the one in casual dining where they can just operate all their menus through. And that the change in, I suppose, the benefit is the huge thing that I think sometimes doesn't get carried across properly by the tech guys, because the operators are so time poor, they don't have time to really understand the benefits of the tech. Is that what you guys do? Do you support in kind of explaining those benefits and making sure they understand kind of the before and after? Eva?
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Ruben.
Yeah. What I wanted to say is that, like, obviously we do that now, and we have a lot of experience in that. But like going back to my example, I was actually telling about the incoming tour operator. What I saw, so we were selling our products on all these online channels like Viator, TripAdvisor, all these things, and we used to have a team of 5 people basically transferring emails into our system manually. And this is like, now you think like, okay, this is unheard of, but same example, people grew up with, they don't know a time without mobile phones. This was how it was. There was like a team of 5 people doing everything manually, and obviously, like with an API connection, everything came in there automatically. But that doesn't mean, and that's also our message that we tell our clients now, that doesn't mean that you have to fire like 5 people because they don't have a job anymore. No, it means that you can actually take on more business, and that you can go on more websites and generate more bookings. And that's the message, that we have to get across. It's not about firing people, not about like removing jobs. It is about creating more business and more efficiency, so you can handle more business.
Yeah, because you redeploy that labor, right? Sorry.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess what we're trying to do is more to help tech find the right partners to then find the right customer, and not try to shoot everywhere to everyone, but really find your true unique value proposition and who do you address to and who is the best target segment. I think it starts from there. And so when you find the right partners and those who actually know the problems or the challenges of the hotel or any other hospitality company, then it's much more easier to put in touch the right people together.
Are you guys like the Tinder of tech?
Yeah, we can say that.
It was in our first business plan. Yeah, we had it actually.
Yeah, but you know what? I think sometimes you have to be really. I mean, what I've learned over the years is you've got to be really obvious about what you do, right? Especially when it's something involving tech, because it can get really convoluted, really complex, and people generally don't understand what you're doing on the other end. So sometimes you just got to call it out, right, and say,
"Yeah, that's true.
It's your perfect match." And, maybe Tinder's not the best example.
Ultimately, if we could have an app doing that as well, that would be so cool, no?
Well, I think that is a really interesting development. I think that's where this kind of work will go. I think what you guys are doing, I think, is really the early stages of potentially having that where, I'm an operator, I can literally go on an app, I can tap in my needs and it
exactly
solution, right? That's
something like that.
We should do that together, right?
Yeah. No, and I think it's also, Chris, it's all about saving time. Right? So technology in its essence is going to save you time, and it's going to help you generate more business or more activities, or create time to spend more time on a guest, and have all the automation in the background. And I think that's also what we are doing. And although it's like not everything is automated yet because we just got started, it is what we do is in essence it's saving time. So when you look for partners in technology or consultants or anything, when you have to start this, you go on LinkedIn and you spend a huge amount of time finding the right people, and it's very hard to actually really understand what someone is doing from their LinkedIn profile. So that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to put the right information, in essence, put it right there so you can quickly scroll to interesting people and see, okay, this is actually, a revenue manager in South Africa that works with independent hotels. That's something that's someone I want to speak with. And that's what we facilitate. So that's really our mission.
I mean, and I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because the big guys have CTOs, they have these chief technology officers, but the smaller guys don't have anyone, right? They don't have an IT group. They probably have a guy who's been quite good at it, or a girl who can do a little bit here and there. So the independents, as you say, don't have that opportunity but still need the tech, right? They still don't need 5 people entering email addresses manually. They still need that API built. So it's really interesting. I suppose you guys kind of replace that need for having a CTO or someone like that in your business, where you can go in and kind of fill that void for them, give them great recommendations, and as you say, save them a shed load of time and get them straight to the answer.
Yeah,
I think we wouldn't remove the CTO. We don't have that pretension, but indeed, I think he's still an important guy. But as you say, he's trying to actually support him, maybe, or like making that connection and recommending, someone in our network that could help him, because also sometimes on our day-to-day, we all have that. We just have this single vision and we forget to look around, or what's new, what's not. There are so many new softwares out there and new technologies. You don't really know which one to choose sometimes anymore. And I think what we try to do is we try to work with exciting new technologies as well, which we believe have something that can help the end user. And we try to push for that for their message and try to propose those startups to a new light or in a new market, for example.
Yeah, and I think as well with these things, when you're buying tech, you can land. I know a lot of people have bought tech early, actually, before it really ramped up over COVID and the pandemic, and ended up landing it quite poorly, as I mentioned before, just purely because execution was poor. How do you go about landing tech successfully? What's your, I suppose, your best piece of advice to people who are going to invest in a piece of kit, invest in their people, as Ruben was saying, so we're going to redeploy that labor, put it elsewhere. But how do you make sure it lands properly and actually gets you that return?
Yeah, I think this is one of our main pillars actually that we're trying to solve. So coming from Muse, coming from a PMS, we've always worked with consultants, and we can see the effect that they can have on actually a proper adoption of new software, and we can see that it's not utilized as much as it should be. There are consultants out there who perfectly understand how a hotelier works, what their day-to-day activities are, and also what it entails to actually implement a new software. And that could be a new PMS, a new RMS, a new upselling tool. It could be anything, but just the buying process is already quite complicated. So you can you can use help for that from a consultant. But then the implementation is always done in most cases by the technology company itself, which is great. In most cases, they go on site, they have a great week or a few days with the team, they bond, they have a connection, they can ask everything. But then the team leaves, the implementation team leaves, and then actually the real challenge starts, right? So then you have to have your team, you have to keep up with the changes that you've made and start using the software as you really need to. And that's the most challenging part. And that's actually where a consultant or someone who is like knowledgeable and they have a good relationship with the hotelier and the team, they can help out really in the production or in the adoption of the product. It's so important, that time really, and a consultant can have such an important impact on that.
Consultants, but also you have a lot of specialized management companies now who also support independent hotels, hotel groups, hotel chains, and all kind of different sectors in hospitality, even F&B, and all those people have the skills to basically work with the owners and achieve what they want to achieve, because those guys have a vision for what they want, Let's say they want a super brand new digitalized concept for their hotel, for their restaurant. Now, how do you go from the idea to actually the operations and also have your teams adopt this technology? It's a lot of work. So like Ruben said, consultants, hotel management companies can help and support the businesses like that.
Yeah, I think that's the single in my world. So you guys are from a hotel travel background. Mm-hmm. I work more in the casual dining space, and I think the adoption, which is a great word actually, Ruben, to describe how people look after it once it's been implemented. It's like a crutch. It's like a new opening. On a new opening, you have a new opening team who go in and check all the guys who are providing great guest experience. Then when they leave, you always have this dip. If you had to chart it, you'd see this dip where the guest experience drops because the team are having to take on the full range without any support. And I think it's the same for tech, right? You have these guys who come and implement really well, and then when they leave, you have this real kind of tipping point where people are kind of struggling. So is there a resistance to using consultants out there, or is it, or do you think it's generally because in our world in casual dining, it's probably a little bit more resistant to using a consultant to help, whereas I imagine it might be less in the hotel world. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, no, I think it's quite, a lot of hotels are using consultants, but actually what and that's also something that we're trying to focus on. Actually, it should also be coming from tech, right? So the tech company can see actually like, okay, the product adoption or the experience of our client with our product at the moment, it's not as it should be. You can put in some checks and see, okay, how are my clients actually using the program, and then say, we see some disturbing signs. You're not changing these things, or you are changing a lot of things. So what's going on? And it's all about resources. So all the tech companies, it's hard to have a person on the ground. So that's why they all have like online help desks and chatbots and stuff to help out, which is great for the urgent things. But as a tech company, I would say, okay, you can see your client is not doing as good as they could be. So here you go. Like there's actually this great consultant who lives like half an hour from your hotel. Like, why don't you have a chat? Like, let him come for 1 hour a week or a day a week and help you out with installing our program, or the adoption of our program, and really teach you how to use it in the best way. I think that could be an amazing opportunity for both, also consultants, because they can now not only focus on hotels to generate business, but they can also start using technology companies to get business in.
The reluctance comes sometimes, like in terms of, like, hoteliers can be price sensitive, and they actually think when they buy a new tech that they can automate a lot of things and do a lot of things by themselves. So, like, they are a bit surprised when they start using tech that, they actually need maybe still a few humans out there to operate the strategy, and they're like, well, no, I just bought a software that cost me this per month, so this should do the work, and that's it. Which it could make sense, and it does, but yeah.
And I think that leads perfectly either to digital. The buzzword digital transformation. I think you just put it perfectly there. That when you buy tech, it's not a square peg in a round hole as such, but sometimes it takes a lot more development across the whole business rather than just doing it in one place. So if I bought room service tech, or I don't know, I'm not a hotel, but if I bought something for the guest experience in the lobby or whatever it might be, it doesn't necessarily mean that I've fixed every problem around it. It means that I've automated something, and digital transformation then needs to happen across the whole business in terms of strategy. Do you see that? How are guys approaching that in the hotel industry? Are people now building a digital strategy as it would be across their business, or is it still something where they're kind of buying one thing, then stepping back and then buying another? Or do you think people are starting to really look downwards on digital strategy?
From what I've seen and from personal experience, because at Muse I used to be account manager, so I used to be working with hotels and trying to help them. Sorry for the noise. And trying to help them build their own tech stack around their vision. It's really difficult. I have rarely seen environments where everything is smooth and all the teams are working super well together. Because first of all, you have maybe the technology barrier. So you need to implement a new tech stack, sometimes with your original tech stack. Like sometimes you're not changing everything, you're changing one or two systems. So the API connectivity, the seamless technology and flowing information, it's one aspect that needs to be done properly first. And then second, the organization between the teams and the different departments, and things change and team change and leave and go. So there's a lot of complexities to it.
And that is interesting, actually. Sorry, on that point, on people coming and going, because retention is a huge issue in the industry across the board, especially at the moment. So with people turning over, do you find that is that quite an issue then, with tech still delivering what it was meant to be delivering in the first place? What do you think, Ruben? Like, because if people are coming and going all the time, are you still getting the benefits you have from when you originally bought the piece of kit?
Yeah, I think so, because it's so user friendly, and that's really a plus of the technology that's available today. Like, it's so easy to learn, and like everything is super intuitive and easy flowing. So you don't have one Opera specialist in the whole organization that only knows how Opera works, and everybody has to ask this person.
That used to be the case. I'm older. I remember those days, but
exactly. Yeah, there was the specialist, and and now it's super easy. And if you don't know how to do it, like your colleagues know, or you can just quickly go online and figure it out. It's super easy. But actually, like, in addition, also to your previous question, what I wanted to say is that I think there are two things important on that question. First of all, I would say that the best way is to really start with a strategy and really come up with a digital transformation strategy, and to change everything in your business. However, the cool thing about the landscape these days is that actually there are so many different solutions. So, if you don't have the time to do that, and if you're a small hotel and you just say, okay, I want to actually be more engaged with my guests, there is specific software for that. So you don't have to change your PMS and your channel manager and everything. You can actually just super quickly start and test actually different ones, because it's all like SaaS models. So you pay a monthly fee. If you don't like it, you can just quit your contract again. So I think that's really, really a plus point of the landscape today available, and it's super easy. So always the best thing is to think about what you want to change and see see the bigger picture. But definitely if you just think like, okay, I want to try some things and I want to see if I can get better engagement with my guests, or if I can get a better balance in between like direct bookings and indirect bookings, just start testing out some technology. It's really easy.
I think that's the thing. It's all about outcomes. What do you want to achieve from buying something? Because obviously, don't do it unless you know what you want to get from it, because you're going to end up wasting some money, right? But as you said, I don't think there is a niche anymore, is there? There isn't a niche piece of tech. It literally will cover everything. I find it really interesting. On that point, though, what is there a problem we've got generally in the industry that we don't think tech is solving right now, or we think it could solve?
Yeah, yeah. It's hard to ask that to tech ambassadors, right?
You can give a recommendation.
Yeah. No, obviously there are. Yeah, I think like internal communication is one of the things that Eva just mentioned it already. It's something that's always a challenge. It's like the bigger the organization, the harder it is. It's always going to be a challenge, internal communication. I don't think there are tools for it, but I haven't seen, like, it's just more about behavior of people than really the tool.
Well, at the end,
Yapster.
Sorry about that.
There's a company called Yapster in the UK. You should check them out. They look after that in casual dining. They work with some big retailers as well as casual dining, but they're really interesting. Sorry, Eva, you were saying.
No, that's fine. At the end, I think that tech is still without human. Without a human touch, the people behind are still super important. Tech running by itself, it doesn't have a much higher performing rate. And we should use technology, or businesses should use technology to actually adapt to new ways of society and how society is and works and digitalize. Everybody uses their phone now, but everything is going so fast that sometimes I think that maybe our businesses take more time, because every year there's something new.
But, it's so true. I mean, I think back to the banks. Remember the banks, and about probably 5-10 years ago, they started getting rid of all the counters, right? And they you walk in and these strange people are walking around in the middle of the bank talking to you, asking you questions. You're like, what do you want? Get back behind your counter, And the reason is because tech's allowed them to come out and deliver customer service in a different way. And I think that hospitality should really, because we are a customer service industry, more than a bank would be. And I think we should address that in the same way. I mean, is that something you think is going to happen more and more in a lobby? When you walk in, you're going to get this kind of roaming guest experience?
Yes, I think so. We're seeing it already.
That's right.
For sure. Yeah, I think it's still actually it's surprising that it doesn't happen so much, right? So like basically hospitality is a home away from home. So you like when you come home, you don't gonna check in after a reception desk. You're gonna come in, you feel welcome, you're gonna sit on the sofa, have a drink, or you're gonna go to your room straight away. And that's something like it's all out there. The technology is there. People can check in beforehand. They can do everything to make sure that you can come in, have a drink, have a great experience, someone taking you back to the right room, all of those things. But it's still, and that's a part of behavior, I guess, also. It's still like some people are expecting to go to a reservation desk or a reception desk and provide their details and provide their passport. It's all about, some people are not really happy to do that beforehand, but the technology is definitely there.
Yes, to be fair, for me now, I think I'm kind of adapted to that, and I see it more and more. I mean, even if you check into your airline now, I mean, you don't go to a desk, right? You go to those kiosks, and those kiosks are more and more present in hotels. Like obviously not in the middle of the countryside, but in the cities, main cities. I think you see that more and more. Yeah.
And I think, to be honest, sorry, go on, Ruben.
No, to be honest, I haven't been in a hotel for 1.5 years, so maybe it changed.
It's all new now. Wait till you go. It's like a bank. But I was saying McDonald's, literally, I mean, no one really looks like this, but McDonald's have retrained Europe, right? In terms of the way people behave with ordering and pay at kiosk and kiosk ordering. They took the pressure off the tills and put them back onto the screens. And whether you love or hate them, the way they've behaved around tech is really interesting. I actually think they're a leader in it. And I think that when it comes to copying anyone or looking at what they do, they're often one step ahead of everybody else. And I think And the hotels, I think the worst part of any hospitality experience is the checking in and the paying the bill, right? That's the two things I hate doing, because you have to wait for both, and both of them involve giving someone some money, which is not a nice thing to do, right? Even though you have to pay for a hotel. So I think people are starting to address those issues and making, I think Ruben was talking about home from home, and I think Eva, you actually said that, you both used that phrase today. That is really interesting. That is in essence hospitality, right? And that's what we should be doing everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely. But what you said also is completely true. I think, the arrival phase with the check-in and the checkout phase and all the payments, etc. I mean, a lot of systems now are here and are booming to help resolve those issues and have this really seamless customer journey. So I think a lot of new things are happening and are to be followed.
Great. Yeah. And my final question to you guys, so you must get asked a lot of questions by non-tech experts like me. And what is the most common request you're getting from people, either your clients or your customer or anyone you're working with? What's the most common thing you're being asked at the moment?
Can you introduce me too?
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be it. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Literally,
it is.
Can you marry me up to the latest pay it table out?
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's really like that. And
yeah, go ahead, Ruben, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So yeah, it's really like that. That's also like, there's so much out there, so it's hard to choose, and like it's really, it's hard to keep up, and you need some experts or people who are in the industry and who are in the middle of it to help you sometimes guide you. Okay, who do I need to speak to, and not per se in terms of tech, but also in terms of people. And it's funny because you already earlier you mentioned also some roles, like CTOs and growth officers, and there are so many roles these days in companies. So sometimes when you just want to reach out to someone, it's like, okay, I want to speak to someone too, like about an integration or about a potential partnership or whatever. Like, who do you reach out to? Like chief growth officers, I don't know how many different names. And yeah, I think what we're also trying to do with Bond Connect is like, we try to tone it down a bit and go back to human and say, okay, this is not a growth officer or growth revenue officer, but this is Chris, and he can help you out.
And I think, and again, hospitality is about relationships, right? You always, me personally, when I was buying tech as an operator, I kind of had a good understanding of what was out there, but I probably bought the person I got on the best with. Yeah. Now, that sounds really basic, I know, but generally, if I met all these different guys who were selling me these different solutions, generally I'd have a bond, probably more. There we go. Bond. I'd have a better connection with one person than I would another, and that would probably end up at my sale. And I think that the tech guys need to remember that, right? That's also key to the business we're working in.
That's completely true. Like I've started basically to introduce people without them asking me to, and I really enjoy this actually, because I'm like, if those two can match and if those two like will be happy meeting each other and eventually do stuff together, like I just feel so happy that it's thanks maybe to me, that I can put my little my little seed to the flower. I don't know, but I think Ruben and I are we like to connect people, and actually not only in hospitality. I mean, we match friends, we match so many.
We need to go here.
Just matched a friend with another friend in Lisbon, and they are doing great things together now. So, that's who we are. We bond.
No, I think it's great, and I think and the fact that we're doing this now, this podcast today, we only met 3 weeks ago, Eva, I think. Yeah. Purely Eva reached out and said, "What are you doing? Tell me what you're doing." And we got talking. And I'm also a big believer in collaboration. I think that the industry is so big and so complex, and we've made it that way, unfortunately. And it needs this kind of time together. I think community, as someone used that word before, is absolutely perfect for what we need to do. And I think whether it's in tech, whether it's in food and beverage, whatever it might be, I think that community, it is our responsibility to bring people together and kind of help them make those decisions, because there's a lot of money sloshing around in the wrong place, probably being wasted, I think is the right way to put it. So I think it's great what you guys are doing. And I'm in, although I struggle with Slack because I have it on multiple devices and I'm old and I'm trying to make sure they all work at the same time. I am on there still and trying to connect with people. So it's all good. So before I let you go, tell me a bit more about what you guys do then. So on a day off, what do you like to get up to?
Oh, interesting. Ruben, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, like we spend so much time behind the screen. It's always good to go outside. So that's also a reason why we moved to Lisbon. Everything is within hand reach. The beach, nice forests, mountains. We can go everywhere. Yeah, that's something that we really like to do. Just and obviously like work. It sounds very cheesy, but it is like that because we enjoy what we're doing. We love it, but you need to take some time for yourself sometimes and just go out, be at the beach, take a nice walk, stuff like that. Yeah.
Exactly. Go out with some friends, have a drink, and just living life, enjoying what we have.
The present moment. Say fish. It's Lisbon, right? Isn't famous for its fish? It's lovely.
Exactly.
And if people are listening, right, and they need your help, which I think a lot of people will, how do they get hold of you? Where do they find you?
Yeah, well, you can reach out to us on LinkedIn, and then of course join Bond Connect. So we can chat directly on Slack. But we're super open. Like, just make a connection with us on LinkedIn, and then we'll chat.
Yeah,
lovely.
Yeah,
guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking time out of the day. I'm looking at your background there, Eva. It looks lovely. That's a co-working space, is it?
It's super nice. Yes, it is. It is. I'm actually on how do you call that?
A swing.
Swing,
yes.
Very cool. Yeah, no, there's a restaurant chain in the UK called Mowgli, run by a lady called Nisha Katona, and she has those swings in her restaurant. Yeah, really nice, really nice.
Very interesting.
Nisha got a shout out. She'll be happy. All right, good. Well, guys, thank you very much. Thank you, Ruben. Say goodbye to everybody.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everyone.
Chris. Thank you for listening.
Hopefully, I'll see you in Lisbon in the new year.
We will.
Absolutely.
For sure.
We will make it happen.
Good.
Yes.
That's good. I like that. We'll make it happen.
We'll make it happen.
Guys, you've been listening to Tech on Toast. That was Eva and Ruben from Bond Connect. If you want to get in touch, you'll find the details right in our bio. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.